Good morning. Today we're going to talk about the Shitas Rambam B'din Yakir, as it relates to a few different halachas in different places, including today's Rambam, today's Shir. So the Gemara in Bava Basra, Daf Kuf Chav Zayin, Daf Kuf Lamed Aleph, the Mishnah is Kuf Chav Zayin, the Gemara is Kuf Lamed Aleph. Ha'omer Zeh B'ni Neman. If somebody says, "This is my son," that person, that child, that male child is my son, Neman, he's believed. So the Gemara asks, L'may hilchasa? What is the nafkamina? Why do we need to know this? What is the point of the Gemara telling this? So the answer is, the Gemara says, L'yorshay, to give him a legacy, to give him inheritance, a money inheritance, and to exempt his wife, the person who's making the statement, min Yibbum. Obviously, if somebody has a child, so his wife is not allowed and is exempt from the mitzvah of Yibbum, of levirate marriage. So the Gemara asks a question: Liyarsha pshita. It's simple, of course, that he's believed when it comes to saying that this child, this male child, is his Yiddish, is his inheritor. So the Rashbam explains, the Rashbam is the Rashi on Bava Basra, the Rashbam explains, why is it pshita, why is it so simple? So the Rashbam says, because a person has a migu. A migu is roughly translated as, he could say an easier explanation, or he could say an easier taina, an easier reasoning why something would happen. And since he doesn't, since he says something more difficult, so we believe him because he could have gotten away with it easier. So that's called a migu. So the Rashbam explains, why is he believed? Why is a person believed when it comes to Yerusha, when it comes to making sure that a person's money legacy goes to his son? Because he has a migu, he can give him the money. I can give anybody. I can give somebody on the street. I can go and give as much money as I want to somebody on the street. So therefore, since I don't do that, I say I want my son to be yoirish, to inherit my money b'koyach Yerusha, b'koyach Yakir, b'koyach Yerusha. So therefore, says the Gemara, he's believed in b'tzad Yerusha. So the question the Rashbam deals with a little bit, he says, we would think that this is only on money that he currently owns, but how about money that he will have later? For example, a person says today, this is my son, and in the next 10 years he adds to his portfolio, he adds a lot of money. You would say, says the Rashbam, this migu doesn't apply. So therefore, this is the concept of Yakir, and the person is believed to say, Zeh b'ni b'chei. This is my, so in other words, the mitzad the migui, he wouldn't be believed only on the chasim, on assets that he currently owns. Mitzad the din of Yakir, mitzad the nemanis of the Torah believes him. We also believe the person even on assets that are later that the migu doesn't apply. And the Gemara explains, this according to the Rashbam, this whole concept is only when we know that a person, in other words, the din of Yakir, it's a little bit out of the purview of today's discussion, so I'll gloss over it. The din of Yakir that we're discussing now, that refers to the assets after his death, only applies when we know that a person, let's say Shimon, is Reuven's son. However, if we have no idea that Shimon is Reuven's son, and Reuven is coming and telling us that somebody from the street that we never knew before is my son, according to the Rashbam, this wouldn't work. This din of Yakir wouldn't work. Yakir only works when we know that a certain person is his son, and we're saying that he's a b'cher. He's my firstborn, and therefore, when it comes to all the inyanim of Yerusha, as it relates to a b'cher, as it relates to a firstborn, it's his. That's how the Rashbam learns the Gemara. The Rambam and the Shulchan Aruch argue on this. The Rambam in Hilchos Nachles, not in our Halacha today, in Hilchos Nachles, Perik Beis Halacha Yudalid, says as follows: there are three people that are believed regarding a firstborn. Chaya, the nursemaid, she knows who came out first. His mother and his father. So Chaya miyad, etc. Ishim Amra the Yatzirish and Amenes, if she says, right, she's only believed right away. She's not believed a year later or a week later. His mother is believed this first 7 days. Aviv La'ilam, says the Rambam. A father is believed forever for the rest of his life. Afilu Amar, this is the emphasis. Afilu Amar Ha'av al Mishlei Huzik ben Klal. Even a father comes and says, he surprises us. He's laying on his deathbed, or he's not well, or he's getting to be in his old age, and he says, so and so, Yossi, Mendel, so and so. He's my son, and not only that, he's a b'cher. Therefore, he not only will he inherit me, but he will get a double portion. Neman, says the Rambam. He's believed. So there's a double nemanis here. Nemanis that he's my son, and a nemanis that he's a b'cher, a firstborn. The same thing. Says the Rambam. If he says the opposite, you think this guy is my firstborn? He's not my firstborn. Okay, and this the Shulchan Aruch agrees with the Rambam, not like the Rashbam. The Rashbam will learn that only if a yakir only works if we know that a person is his son. The Rambam learns even if we don't know anything is his son. So again, just to repeat it, the Rambam Shita in Hilchos Nachles, when it comes to Yerusha, when it comes to money inheritance, that the father can establish not only who is his b'chayr, the firstborn, but even who is his son, something that we don't know. The Achreinim, the Gaon of Vilna, the Gra explains that the source of this is another Gemara, where the Gemara says clearly, Zeh b'ni u b'chayrihu. He's believed. If a person, so that we see that according to the Gaon of Vilna and other Achreinim, this is the clear source in the Rambam, that he's believed on a double belief that he's a son and that he's his b'cher. So the Ktsas Achreshin in Siman Reish Ayin Zayin asks a very strong kasha on the Rambam. The Rambam says there's a Gemara in Ksubis that talks about whether a father, a Kuzakayin, can give his child the truma, is a machlekes over there in the Gemara. So the Gemara says that we believe him. We believe him when it comes to giving him truma, but we don't believe him when it comes to marrying off to marriage, which is the concept of yuchsin, his lineage. So according to the Amoraim over there, the Gemara talks about why is a father in the case over there believed the father who is a kohen is believed to give him truma, and he's not believed to when it comes to yuchsin, when it comes to marriage issues, because they use the word mishum shebiyadei lechol truma. He has it; it's in his hands. It's something that he's available. It's his truma. He could do whatever he wants with it. So the Torah gave him that nemanis. But when it comes to marrying him off to a woman, it's ein biyadei. He can't force somebody to marry him. He can't force him. So by making statements as it relates to yuchsin, the Rambam is not. He's not able to do that. So the Ktsas asks, doesn't make sense, because according to the Rambam, he's believed in everything. Now, let's come to the Rambam in today's Shir, Perek Gimel Halacha Daled of Hilchos Yibbum. The Rambam says, Mi shezina misha, if somebody had an illicit or a out of marriage relationship with a woman, bein pnuya bein eseshish, whether she's a single girl or a married woman, vinis abra, and this lady got pregnant, the Amar, and this person comes, let's call him Reuven. Amar, he says, Zehu uber mimenihu, this fetus, this child is mine. Vafilu he moidaloi, even if the lady says, yes, in fact, that this is his child. Even though when it comes to Yerusha, as we just explained at length, when it comes to Yerusha, he's believed, and therefore he would be obligated to give him money and a double portion. When it comes to Yibbum, we don't accept it. It's at best a suffix, and therefore chaletzes v'lo misyabemes is chalitz. So the Lechem Mishnah brings down the question of the Rosh on this Rambam, and the Rosh asks, why? Manishtanach. What's the difference between Yerusha and Yibbum? They're both. The concept is nemanis, belief. So, in other words, just like when it comes to Yerusha, he is believed. So, why? Because the Torah gave him belief. It's called Yakir. It's an explicit passage in the Torah that gives the father the right to say who is his son, and even who is his b'cher, and therefore, and not only that, the Rambam even goes further, as we explained at length, that not only that can he say that he's my son as a who is my son, but he's giving him. I'm sorry, not only can he say that he's my firstborn, he can also say something that we don't know, which is that he's my son. So there's a strong nemanis according to the Rambam in the inyan of Yakir. So how come when it comes to Yibbum it doesn't work? So this is a topic that is discussed at length in many yeshivish sugyas, many achreinim, Imre Moshe, Shimon Shkop, Shmuel Lazovsky, a lot of yeshivish rate talk has been dealt with this. We'll focus on just one or two simple answers to explain the Rambam. So the Shev Shmaitzah, which was composed by the Ktsas, he says like this, and the svara that we're now going to say from the Shev Shmaitzah is also the original svara of Rabbi Akiva Eiger in a tshuva. Later he digresses because of a taisus, but could be that the theory, the logic still applies. The Shev Shmaitzah says something very beautiful. Says something very balabatish of the difference why we believe in Yerusha and why we don't believe in Yibbum. So he says the nemanis that we believe a father benegea to his son can only apply to something that is confined to his son or to himself, him and his son, his money, but not when it comes to other people, not when this nemanis affects other people. So therefore, when it comes to Yerusha, I could do whatever I want within the purview of myself or my son. But when it comes to Yibbum, this is already going to affect another person. This is going to affect a lady, whether she can marry an Eishes Ach, the brother, the wife of a brother, etc., etc. Says the Shev Shmaitzah, the Rambam is saying, the Chiddush of the Rambam is that when it comes to Yakir, it can only, the nemanis of the Chazal only went as far as it relates to me or my son, nobody else. But when it comes to somebody else, that doesn't work. So therefore, he's mechadish that now we can understand the difference between Yerusha and Yibbum. Yerusha is something that's mine. I could do whatever I want with it, almost like we said before from the Rashbam. He could do it, but it's not talking about a din nemanis. We're talking about the din of the Rambam of what nemanis, what trust the Torah gave to the father. The Torah gave the father the trust up to the point that it only affects him and only affects me, meaning my money or my assets. But when it comes to something else, when it comes to Yibbum, which has a whole other world of children, of women, the Torah doesn't apply. So the now there's a taisus in Bava Basra that brings down another shita of Rabbeinu Eliyahu, and the upshot of the shita of the Rabbeinu Eliyahu means that he wants to say, and it's a little bit like the Rambam and a little bit not like the Rambam. That there's two different types of nemanis, two different levels of trust or belief that the Torah gives, because all these gedarim, all these issues are based on how much trust or how much belief the Torah gave in the Father's words. We could say, says Rabbeinu Eliyahu, that the nemanis when it comes to Yerusha, nemanis when it comes to inheritance of money, this is a svara. This is a logical explanation. In other words, we don't need to come to a belief in Torah to understand this nemanis, because since the father is the owner of his money, it's his money, he earned it. The Torah gave him nemanis, the Torah gave him belief when it comes to that. So therefore, even if there's witnesses who come and saying, what do you mean, that's not your son, we know, whatever, etc., there's Aiden, the Gemara talks over there about it. Nevertheless, the Torah gave him nemanis l'gabi Yerusha. How? Because the father is an owner on the money. When it comes to yuchsin, when it comes to yichus, when it comes to who he could marry, or when it comes to Yibbum, so the father is not an owner on this nemanis. The Shev Shmaitzah wants to say The Torah doesn't want to impose on other people. Doesn't want to impose my belief on other people. Rabbi Elio says a beautiful svara. He's saying, when it comes to money, it's my thing. So therefore, the Torah gave me the money. When it comes to Yibbum, it's not my thing. It's not my. I don't own Yibbum. I don't own the money. I don't own the ritual belief of another person. So therefore, the Torah said, "Atkan." And therefore, with this, we can understand another Rambam, where it says that a father could say, this is a Rambam in Hilchos Isur Bia. With this, we will conclude that a father is. He could say. Only if we know that it's his son, he could say that this son is a mamzer. But if we don't know that he's his son, then he can't say he's a mamzer, because so the Mefarshim explained with this, the Rambam realizes that it cannot go further than that. So what did we explain till now? We explained that the Rambam in Hilchos Yibbum, that the Rosh asked the question, what's the difference between Yerusha, that we believe him, and Yibbum, that we don't believe him? Because the father is believed without Yerusha, it's biyadai, and when it comes to Yibbum, it's not biyadai. Wish everybody a good Yontif and a happy Sukkot. Zman Simcha Seinu.